The Norstec Academy is one of the most exciting initiatives that the industry has actually done for a long time.
It was a completely unique experience. It was the ultimate induction course for the industry.
Certainly opened my eyes to sort of the opportunity and the scale of impact this industry could have.
This has been a unique experiment, and so far it's been a fantastic success.
One of the key things about Norstec is that it has communicated the benefits of offshore wind in the long term. So we were really looking for an initiative that would be focused on the long term, that would be sustainable, that would really focus on the future.
A bit squeaky, I want.
The Academy is both a virtual community and also a real community of participants ranging from signatories and partner companies to students who are involved, and then a wide range of other forms of stakeholders that are also involved in the different activities that form part of the carousel tours that we do.
Keep waving!
We decided to pilot this through a competition to hire students in higher and further education, and the competition question was, what inspires you about offshore renewables?
I wrote that wind energy is the biggest and the best, the fastest growing technology in the renewable energies, and it's kind of an engineer's dream. I'm interested in all the renewable energies, and offshore and wind energy is particularly interesting because I'm a mechanical engineer, so it interests me more than solar energy, and so it was a good possibility to visit a wind farm. Now, today we visited, it was amazing.
We had the most fantastic response and really high quality entries, many different variants, and we focused on students across all different areas of study. A key thing was to show all the different elements that make up the industry, so not just engineering but the media side, the business development side, the commercial side, the R&D side.
I think we need 4 of the longest, like in a square.
20 students took part in these 2 one-week tours, which were a complete whirlwind tour of the whole industry, from policy through to media, through to engineering and operations. It really showcased the industry to its best.
So you're going to investigate which blades work best. It's up to you how many you use. You can use between 1 and 6 blades, and you can use any combination of these that you want. You then have to build a tower to support your generator. And once you've done that, we're going to have 3 competition rounds to see which of you produces the most power.
There's a little more.
Then you have to estimate what you're going to charge for your power. You need to make so much power for your own country before you can sell it. So you can't sell power if you haven't got a surplus. 33 penny. And also, you need to be cheapest. So you need to have the cheapest power out of the rest of the whole group. So you've got to have a surplus, and you've got to provide the cheapest power.
Is this just to break even? It was a completely unique experience. It was the ultimate induction course for the industry. These competition winners had access to experts and really high-level industry representatives. They got to do things that even me, having been 5 years in the industry, had not yet been able to do. We got to go into the nacelle of a Siemens 3.6 megawatt We got to actually go out to an offshore wind project, which is a rare treat.
The power produced by the turbine goes into this substation, it's transformed up and then exported to the shore.
We would never have had the opportunity to talk to the people we've talked to if it wasn't for the Norstec Academy. People at the Crown Estate, I didn't even know what the Crown Estate did until we went there and spoke to the people that grant permission to actually put pylons into the seabed. We wouldn't have talked to the lawyers, the people that handle all the policy and regulations. We'd have never managed that, would we?
We've met a lot of interesting people this week, a lot of experience. So passed on their experiences to us, and I think I've learned quite a lot from that.
It certainly raised my level of awareness, just my immediate friends and family as well. It certainly opened my eyes to sort of the opportunity and the scale of impact this industry could have. So it's pushed me in a bit of a new direction.
Okay, so I won't show you the bathymetry map.
A number of the visits to the different hosts involved some interactive exercises for the students, which was great. For example, the Crown Estate talked us through how you actually zone out an offshore wind farm and how you need to take into consideration all of the different elements, so seabed and wind speed and shipping lanes and so forth.
There are political changes, there are constraints or environmental issues that arise.
So the students got to actually have a go at deciding where they would site a hypothetical wind farm.
Have you guys just seen fishing? Good one. A little bit of moderate, maybe a little bit of moderate.
You sort of keep it up in that area, like you have at that point.
Yeah, just past this point, right?
As much as in the real world, I like to just look at the ocean and kind of go, yeah, over there. When we actually look at the different criteria and we model it, we can see how we get a result.
The Crown Estate manages the seabed on the behalf of the Crown, and so it has various assets on its seabed. It encourages the build out of offshore wind farms, wave and tidal. We don't own the wind turbines themselves, but we own the property on which they sit. So we'll try and do things that encourage and help sustain those assets.
Snaking around.
If there's one thing that we need to do is encourage technical skills and expertise in this industry and not lose them to other industries or other countries as well. So we've been very good at sort of gathering momentum, but we now need to maintain the traction on that, and that includes the skill set as well as financial investment, so investment in technical skills as well. So I think the Norstec Academy concept is vitally important and just plays one part in the many roles that are needed in skills.
We had a good session, a really great session with Capital Dynamics, where we got the groups of students to actually pitch for project finance for the particular project that they had in mind. So they had to take into consideration all of the various elements of the project that would be deemed a risk to investors, which was really great.
It operates at a capacity factor of 41%, which compared with other offshore wind farms is a very good capacity factor to work with.
You're going to see a yearly return of about 100 million pounds. So it's going to be about 10, 11, 12% in this range per year. This is kind of a guaranteed, proven investment.
How can you guarantee me that the UK won't do what Spain did and just change the subsidies retrospectively in a couple of years' time?
Can I ask what year this took place in?
I think with offshore wind in particular and renewable energy assets, it's really the long-term stable cash flows that the projects give off. Once you've built them, they tend to be very stable assets, often under long-term contracts, which provide those long-term cash flows. Obviously, different energy technologies differ. Oil and gas, typically the contractual protection is less, but the returns can be higher. So you're trading off returns with risks, and that's the key skill really in investing, is figuring out where to strike that balance between risk and return.
Spread the risk, and there's also the opportunity to get bank loans when it is up and operational.
The risks, I mean, there are a lot of risks there's obviously construction risks if you come in at the construction stage of the project. There is the risk, unfortunately, of regulatory changes, and particularly ones that retrospectively happen. You have to be aware and alive to those. There are also operational risks, making sure that the asset runs effectively and is doing what it promises. And there's also standard risks with respect to wind and the sun in the case of those two technologies, making sure you understand the resources that you're dealing with. So yeah, risk is a big part of the job, absolutely managing risk.
45, say 41's fairly standard.
Okay.
The engineering side of it I've sort of read around quite a bit, and so the legal side we've seen and the sort of financing part of it has sort of opened a different sort of side to the whole wind industry, so that's all been very interesting and stuff. Something I haven't thought about much before, but I'm sure I will in the future.
And just the sheer scale of some of these projects, I didn't really understand a lot of the investment, and I'll never really understand a lot of the engineering. But some of these are just like billion-pound projects. Just the amount of money, the amount of coordination, the amount of expertise, the amount of jobs that are created just up and down the coast is just staggering.
Wind, and particularly offshore wind, is one of the biggest growth areas of Siemens at the moment, and our biggest customer in the world happens to be a customer that buys most of our wind turbines. That's the biggest customer of any part of Siemens, bigger than railways, bigger than hospitals. So wind has become a real key part of what we do in Siemens. I was really lucky to accidentally fall into the wind industry 10 years ago when it really got started, and I've seen it grow from a few enthusiastic people with sort of beards and sandals into a multi-billion-pound industry that it is today, and everything has had to grow up. The finance, the engineering, the logistics, everything has gone from a shoestring to a fully fledged industry. Well, this has been a unique experiment, and so far it's been a fantastic success. The opportunity to give a group of young people a window into our industry, and hopefully they and you can pass some of what you've learnt on to the rest of the public, has to be good for the wind industry. But it's also been good for us in another way. It's brought many of the separate companies in the industry closer together, and we've had a physical example of how to collaborate to do something positive, and I'm sure that will spread to other areas of the industry.
Ben Stark and I, journalism students from the University of Lincoln, we joined the competition winners on the first week of the carousel tour, and Nancy Fleming from the City University of London did so in the second week. For me personally, it was a great opportunity to put into practice some of what I've been learning over the last few years. We're always encouraged to get work experience wherever possible, and this was an opportunity to interview some real top people in an industry. I personally was able to practice my filming and interviewing skills in particular. Ben did a lot of photojournalism and writing. There was a lot of focus on social media throughout the 2 weeks, so you got Instagram, Vine, Facebook and Twitter in particular. Nancy was brilliant on Twitter. Her and the students in the second week were tweeting galore.
Everyone was getting involved when we were out on the trips in social media and taking turbine selfies or selfies, which is a term that I coined. We certainly saw a number of them were hugely inspired to actually apply for jobs within the industry and make it their main focus for employment, which is really exciting, really great. It's more than we could have hoped for, really.
It's been better than what I expected, to be honest, because we've seen so much yesterday, the financial side, the legal side of it. Today also just seeing the wind farm, seeing how big they are, hearing how they work, how complicated the actual engineering and electronics in the wind turbines are. It's really, really interesting.
I actually couldn't fault that, so there's not much more I can say. How everything's been organised, like to perfection. Hopefully get the Siemens or Dong and get talking to them boys and hopefully get a job.
Yeah. Exceeded by a long way. I mean, I thought it was going to be good, but all the places we went to see were all really helpful, and even though they were very different, I think we've seen the whole industry from beginning to end.
It was an exhausting week, but we saw all from the bankers handling billion-dollar investments to the engineers working with $50 billion pieces of testing equipment, so I think it was just by far exceeded my expectations.